Alright guys, so we are changing the auto helm on the CNC 33 Mark II, but we run into a problem. So what I want to do is show you one way that you can overcome having to cut a hole that's just a little bit bigger than a hole that already exists without the hole saw wobbling around and creating issues. There's a couple ways to do it. I'm going to show you two the way that I do it, and hopefully this helps you and it gives you an idea of how you can accomplish this without tearing up the gel coat and get a nice clean hole. This is our old head unit, so we'll remove this. I've already loosened the screws on the back, but you can see that these two units on the old Raymarine and the new Raymarine are different. So this is a much smaller opening, this is a much bigger opening. So the trick is to use a hole saw, but if you go and try and use a hole saw, there's nothing for this center to drive into to hold it in place, and it'll just dance around all over the place. So there's two ways you can do it, and I'm going to show you both ways that I use. There's a couple other ways you could do it, but I'll show you the two ways that I do it without having to just revert to pulling out the old jigsaw and doing it that way. So you're going to need a piece of sacrificial lumber for this, and I just use a piece of 1x material. Now you can do this one of two ways. You can either run this back behind and screw it in place and just use the wood for that center line, or you can go ahead and bore the hole in this one. You set it over top and then you run it that way. So I'm going to show you that way because the other way is pretty simple. The other way, I would cut this a little bit smaller, I would put it behind, I would make sure that these screw holes work, I would just screw into it, screw into this here, and then use the center of it to cut the new hole. But let's look at this other way of doing it. So it's as easy as that. And you can see I just did it pretty rude with blue painter's tape. Probably should have used thicker blue painter's tape just to hold it in place. But what I also did is I ran the drill backwards, because first you score the fiberglass, then you turn and cut it. Sometimes you can go through the fiberglass just as easy in reverse and it won't tear up your blade. One thing I will say is you might have noticed I wasn't wearing a mask. I was holding my breath, but you really should wear a mask because fiberglass is really nasty stuff. You do not want to make a habit of breathing it in. So anyways, it's as easy as that to make a bigger hole where one already exists. You can use either of those two ways. There's a few other ways to do it, but this way you don't have to take out the jigsaw or scroll saw and do it that way, which can leave really nasty edges. This is a lot cleaner. So I hope this helps. See you on the next one.